Have you ever wished you could instantly learn something? Like snapping your fingers and suddenly mastering a new skill? Maybe you dreamed of nailing a backflip to impress your friends, strumming a guitar to serenade someone, or mastering a cool trick to stand out. When we were kids, the focus was often on fun and attention. But as we grow older, our interests shift. Now, it's about learning skills that can make a meaningful difference in our lives. Things like languages, technology, business, or even sports. The truth is, most of us aren't great at learning efficiently, and it's not entirely our fault. Schools often train us to memorize facts for tests, only to forget them shortly after. But memorization isn't true learning. Real learning is about understanding, applying, and retaining information to the point where it feels natural, like second nature. Think back to the last time you tried to pick up something new, whether it was a language, an instrument, or a technical skill like coding. What was your approach? You probably spent hours reading, watching tutorials, or taking notes, yet it didn't stick. Why? Because many of us focus too much on input, consuming information instead of output, which is actively doing, practicing, or teaching. It's like trying to learn to swim by reading about it. You might know the theory, but when you hit the water, it's a whole different experience. Learning is a hands-on activity. You need to engage with what you're learning directly. However, not everything you learn is equally important. This is where the 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle, comes in. It states that 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. For learning, this means focusing on the essentials that yield the biggest impact. For example, if you're learning a language, don't try to memorize thousands of obscure words. Start with the 1,000 most common ones, as they'll cover the majority of everyday conversations. If you're picking up guitar, focus on mastering basic chords before diving into complex solos. Mastering the fundamentals lays the groundwork for everything else to come. One powerful way to solidify these basics is through active recall. Instead of passively rereading material, test yourself. For instance, if you're studying history, don't just reread a passage about World War II. Close the book and try to summarize it from memory. This forces your brain to work harder, strengthening your memory, like lifting weights for your brain. That said, cramming might seem productive in the moment, but it's a short-term fix. A much better strategy is using the spacing effect. This approach involves spreading your learning sessions out over time, ideally for 30 to 60 minutes a day. By revisiting a topic repeatedly, you reinforce your understanding and make it easier to recall later. It's like carving a trail through a forest. The more times you walk it, the clearer and more permanent the path becomes. But even with the right strategies, you need to take action. That's why hands-on learning is so effective. Platforms like Brilliant, for instance, turn learning into an interactive experience. Instead of passively reading or watching, you're solving problems and experimenting in real time. Whether it's programming, data analysis, AI, or math, Brilliant's lessons are designed to help you grasp concepts quickly and apply them immediately. Here's the key to learning faster. Focus on deliberate practice. This means zeroing in on your weaknesses, rather than coasting through what you're already good at. It's uncomfortable, but this discomfort is where growth happens. If you're learning to draw, for example, don't keep sketching the same easy subjects. Challenge yourself with difficult perspectives, hands, or facial expressions. Another surprising yet effective method: teach what you're learning. Even if you don't feel like an expert, explaining concepts to someone else forces you to organize your thoughts and spot gaps in your understanding. You can even record yourself as if you're teaching an audience. It's a great way to deepen your knowledge. Additionally, involve as many senses as possible in the learning process. Your brain thrives on variety. If you're learning a new language, don't just read or listen. Write it down, speak it out loud, and immerse yourself in the culture through videos, podcasts, or conversations. The more senses you engage, the stronger the neural connections you'll build. Of course, learning doesn't have to feel like a chore. Gamify the process. Set small goals and reward yourself when you achieve them. Compete with a friend or use apps that track progress and offer badges or rewards. Just be mindful of distractions. Silence your phone, close unnecessary tabs, and focus on one task at a time. Multitasking might feel productive, but it actually slows you down. Finally, don't underestimate the power of rest. Sleep is when your brain processes and organizes the information you've learned, strengthening connections and clearing out what's unnecessary. Skimping on sleep can undermine all your hard work. Most importantly, adopt a growth mindset. Instead of thinking, I can't do this, tell yourself, I can't do this yet. That simple shift in perspective can make a world of difference. Embrace the process and remember, learning isn't just about gaining new skills, it's about growing as a person.